Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer too. I'm half crazy,
all for the love of you. It won't be a stylish marriage. I can't afford a carriage, but you'll look sweet.
Hello, Cubanwriter here with Darkling Faye.
Hello.
And we are here to review the 10th whiz-bang awesome episode of Iron Fist.
So let me ask you, did the black tiger steal your heart?
My heart is stolen. It's gone. Ain't never gonna get it back because this was what I was waiting for. I didn't even know how much I needed this episode.
Oh my goodness. So just to let you know, the director of this episode was Peter Hoare. He also has directed and produced Daredevil, the TV show. So I think maybe that's why you kind of liked this episode. But I will say here's an interesting facet. The writer of this one, Quentin Pebbles, also wrote episode 3, which we did not enjoy. So I was really surprised to see in an episode that we both really liked that the writer was one of an episode we didn't. So I'm wondering if it really was the director's influence that might really have
It might have.
pushed
Also,
this one.
you know, this episode might have been positioned at the ideal point where they needed to move things along. And so they put it all in here, and they did. They moved things along, and it was awesome.
They did. I only have 2 negatives in this episode.
Okay, let's start with the negatives.
Because that'll be easier to get through the negatives. Because I do have...
We usually have like 20 minutes of negatives.
I
so
know.
This is nice.
I do have quite a bit of positives. So the one negative I have is the pacing of this episode I felt was off. Like, I felt like it didn't really start to do much. It was like 20 minutes in, and I was already like, oh, I can't.
You know what? I don't agree because you couldn't start off with stuff happening. You had to build up to it.
I get building up, but it felt like it was taking too long to build up, if that makes sense. They stretched stuff out too much. I felt like the pacing could have been better. That was my one negative, is I felt like the 20 minutes I felt was like stretched out like taffy, and then 40 minutes was all smooshed together where everything happens.
She's adopted Taffy.
Terrible. The other one negative that I have is I know I don't like the character of Harold Meacham, but I'm finding I'm not enjoying the actor of Harold Meacham. And again, I can't tell sometimes if it's a director wanting the actor to portray the character in such a way, or if it is just the actor trying to bring this type of character to life. But I feel like I know what he's trying to do and trying to show his different emotions when he, shows like he's going to get out of control, angry or sad or all this type of stuff. But it feels very wooden and flat to me. Whereas I feel like we get the total opposite with Ward when we see that actor really bring emotions and feelings to the forefront, where I really feel more engaged and I feel like it's just more real. And I really wish that this actor had taken more of Ward's actor's ability, because I just don't feel like even when he's trying to act out of control crazy, it just doesn't feel that legitimate to me.
I will say I think Meacham Jr. is the better actor. I don't have any problems with Meacham Sr. other than the fact that I don't always like what they've written for him to do. But I do think when he's in scenes with his son, you can really see, especially in those cases, who the better actor is.
Yeah, that's just my thing. And again, sometimes it's just how some directors want, a particular character to come across or that. So again, I don't know what it is, but I really just don't feel any of it's legit to me.
And of course, the Meacham stuff was the least interesting stuff going on in this episode.
Yes and no. You get to see some more dynamic of him with his daughter finally.
Yeah, that's true.
Where it was always with Ward, and now you kind of get to, it's a different side, like, of a parent you haven't seen before. So in that respect, it's kind of nice. I did feel it was a very weird how Joey was just like, oh, you're live, okay, and it was like...
Well, no, they had the slow part in the beginning you didn't like had a long moment of her getting adjusted.
It did, but like some of it I feel like I would, like, I don't know, I just feel like if my dad that I had buried all of a sudden comes back to life, I think I would have more of a freak out moment than sometimes how these things happen. I feel like it's taken more in stride than if it was like really happening to me.
I thought the actress did well with it.
It wasn't...
And they couldn't devote more time to that, or else
Oh
you
my
would have
gosh,
really not liked this episode.
No. And so let's get to the positives of the episode.
Yes.
So one of my things that I love, Madame Gao. I love that finally I'm getting the Madame Gao that I've always wanted to have. I feel like finally we're getting this type of character that's kind of been alluded to and foreshadowed and always in this shadowy type thing. Like, she was so smart and just intelligent and witty and just like on point. And the amazing thing is she's only like in 1 to 2 minutes of the entire episode, but was so dynamic in those 1 to 2 minutes that I was just like, this is why I want to have a show just about this lady.
I feel like Madame Gao is most effective when she is least present. You give her 2 to 5 minutes of screen time and she wallops you. You spend too much time with her and she starts to become more mundane. And so I think they did the perfect thing. It was really creepy when she saw him through the... I don't even know if there was a camera or a display in there that she could see through. For all I know, she was seeing him through supernatural means.
I know. And that's, again, this is kind of what you like about that character. You like that you don't always get to see everything, but just enough. And I like that when they leave you wanting more, and you always, in this type of situation, wanted more of Madame Gao. So I loved that. I thought that was a perfect thing. And it's always funny that, like, I always love it when it's like your arch enemy that kind of is also like helping you in a way. And it's like super creepy when that happens, but kind of awesome at the same time.
I don't think she's helping him so much as hurting her opponent, because now it's clear that the hand has factions that are against one another. And she's fallen into the hands, she's fallen into the hands of a faction that's opposed to her. So she's not so much helping him, although she might be giving him good advice, as she is helping herself by putting him in opposition to her adversary.
Yeah, but it makes sense. And
yeah.
In a way, it's funny that the most helpful stuff he gets is from your arch enemy. Like,
it's true.
I love that's where you're going to get your more useful stuff from, comes from that.
Now, you wanted to hear and see about the hand. You wanted a show about the hand. And now you've had an entire show in a hand encampment.
I did. You still don't get to a lot of the history or that behind that I wanted to do, but I do like that we're finally getting to see it. And that was one of the things that I really liked, is just to let you know, guys, the hand is everywhere for realsies. I think the NSA and wiretapping is nothing on the hand.
It's like that James Bond.
It's so creepy, right? But it makes sense. Like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, the way they've been built up, they are supposed to be a clandestine organization that's infiltrated everything and is dangerous to everyone, everywhere.
And it's nice that they actually are finally showing you that piece of it, and that it's not just what they've tried to show, or have shown at least, is just like kind of a thug operation that wants to get into drug. Like, it's so much bigger, and it's nice to see that bigger moment. And finally, for once, Danny actually starts questioning things that he sees. Like, oh my gosh, finally.
This is the most intelligent, inquisitive Danny Rand that we have ever seen. He's still an impetuous child who loses his temper, but by God, he's finally got a brain.
As an audience member, like, you're just stuck with, like, episode after episode after episode, wondering, like, when is he going to start just, like, asking simple questions? I get you haven't been to New York and you haven't been back here for like 15 years. So why wouldn't you start questioning some stuff? I get being naive, but being naive doesn't also mean being stupid.
Right.
Just taking, yeah, I agree, right? It's so true. And finally he was like being smart about it. He was like, okay, Colleen Wing has brought me here and I trust her, and I get that I trust him too, but then he really does start to question things. He comes across Daryl, right? And then was like, how do you like it, Daryl? What can you do here, Daryl? Can you leave? Can you not? Do you have curfew? How do they do? Like, it was so nice that he's actually like, yeah, let's like question this from people who are here, and how did you get here? And all. It was so good to finally see. Like, yes, start asking questions. Don't just take everything that you see as 100% truth.
I also loved Colleen Wing's counterpoint to him.
Yes.
Where she's like, you think we're a cult, but you were raised by a cult too.
It's like a yin and yang type of situation. And it's so funny because when I was watching this episode, I just thought when they were having that kind of confrontation and trying to explain to the other person their point of view, I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are spouting the same bullshit just from different sides, right? It's just like all bullshit and you don't understand that there is some bullshit to both of you. And it's kind of funny how they didn't really get that and didn't understand it, but that the audience gets to see that.
By the way, even though this episode had the best Danny Rand Iron Fist I've seen so far, it also had the best Iron Fist that was better than Danny Rand I've seen so far. In that 1948 Chinese, was it Chinese? I think it was Chinese.
So, yeah.
That footage of that other Iron Fist kicking everyone's ass with two Iron Fists jumping around.
Yeah, I have to say this was the nice thing about this episode is that they do give a little bit of finally some backstory, not just to the hand, but to Iron Fist, to this kind of legend, this kind of world that's not been told about before. And it's kind of nice that you get to finally see after, 10 episodes, that they're finally getting around to telling you some of the origins and different things, which seems strange to be saying that you had to get to episode 10 to get to it.
I think it was also interesting that they kind of explained to us why Danny Rand is such a loser. And his friend even says, "You're the worst Iron Fist ever." And he is. But we see why. Something has gone wrong in his training. And he doesn't even have the basic fundamental skills he's supposed to have. It's almost like he got the Iron Fist power by accident before he was supposed to.
I don't know. And the other good positive thing that I had about this was his friend Davos.
Yes.
I am so intrigued by this character. And I find him a lot more intriguing than how they brought in Colleen Wing Sensei, which I thought like trying to make that character intriguing didn't work. But I feel like when they brought this particular character in, it did work. And it so works in this episode especially too, that it's nice.
I am so glad that he didn't kill anyone by folding aluminum foil into a Chinese star.
I know. Oh yeah, that was ridiculous. But that's like superpower, like... He got that from, obviously...
This director clearly looked at that
military
and said,
stuff.
"That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and I'm not having it in my episode. Good work, director."
Yeah, but it was... He's such, like, an enigma. And this... What I really liked about this character in this episode is, like, it leaves you wanting more.
Yes.
Like, this is actually the first episode where you felt, like, intrigued, where you really were like questioning like, oh, I wonder where is this going? And I'm interested to know where it's going, where you haven't even had that before. Not even in episode 7, which I really liked, which I thought was one of the better episodes. I still didn't have like that actual, twinge of like, what's going to happen next? And what are they doing? And this was the first episode where you got that. And I thought that was so nice, brilliantly done.
And I really like the introduction of this friend. I realize in retrospect that Danny Rand has mentioned having a friend in Kunlun before, and this must be that guy because they act like they've been friends for a long time.
Yeah, and it would make, I guess, some sense if he's going to try and, if you're going to try and send someone to bring him back, that it would be someone that he's close to.
I bet he even volunteered for it.
Yeah, I mean, and it would make sense if you're trying to convince someone to come back, you're not going to send someone that he doesn't like or,
right.
Have some sort of chemistry with or trust or have some sort of kinship with. So.
And I totally buy his friend's point of view. I mean, his friend's clearly a good guy, but he's also like, you have abdicated your responsibility. You have let your entire community down. And he's right. From his point of view, he's absolutely right. Danny Rand is not free to just go gallivanting through ordinary Earth, living his life while the entire realm of Kunlun is left without a defender.
No, I agree. And so it's nice to have finally some counterbalance because we really don't have, before this episode and this character arrives, we don't have any other person other than Danny Rand to explain this monastery, to explain the other side of the coin, as you will, right? We see the hand, and we kind of seen the hand in other of these superhero things that they're doing with Daredevil and some of the Luke Cage, but this is the first time that you're getting to see the other side of the hand. And so the only person we ever have to go by is Danny Rand, and he hardly ever talks about it other than like, oh, well, you got to see a little foreshadowing of his master. in that really terrible fight scene that he had to do. But you don't get anything other than what he tells you, and he's told you so little. And the odd thing is people really haven't asked him that much anyways. Like, they hardly ever really, other than like a joke here and there. And I'm just like, why aren't you asking him, where have you been? Be more inquisitive. Like, and so it's nice to have finally someone else that can give us some information of what this mystical place is, and why do you need an iron fist? Like, what are you defending it from? What's the big deal?
It's clearly only possible to get to Kunlun at certain times.
Yes, they've mentioned that something has to be opened, or some opening somewhere. And
Right.
I'm guessing that, I don't know, some mystical portal. I don't know how it works.
I'm guessing that the main job of the Iron Fist is that when this way is open, he's supposed to stop anything bad from coming through.
Yeah.
And now the way's open, and nobody's stopping anything
Yeah,
bad
but
from coming
like, what do they want in there? Like, do they what does this place have that people would want to get into? Like, that's what I'm saying is, like, I want to know more about this place and what are they,
Yeah.
type of things. So that makes sense. And the interesting thing is Madame Gal's been there.
Yes.
So she obviously, I'm guessing, did some training there and then went bad. I don't know. So I'm wondering, like, is the origin of the hand actually start in this monastery?
I'm wondering if she wants to make Danny Rand into something like herself.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, this is the nice thing about this episode is, like, you want more Madame Gal.
Yes. I'm suddenly eager to learn more, whereas before I've been like, okay, I guess they'll tell us something new now. But now I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear something new. I'm so excited.
I know, like, that they did such a good job in this episode where they really do engage your audience so well that you are, like, left like, oh, let's watch the next episode. Like, you really want to. It's not just like,
I want to watch the next episode.
It's like, this is the Iron Fist you've been waiting for. You got it after 10 episodes, but here it is.
And the fights were better in this episode, too.
Oh, the action was a lot better. It really was. I felt like it was a lot more tighter, more streamlined. It just felt
faster and more real.
It did. It really did. And I liked it. I thought this was the best episode to date. Kind of wish we had more of this, but I'm interested.
Maybe we will get more of this.
I'm interested to see, but not that many more episodes that you're going to have of it, so that's the bad part.
Good, less opportunity for them to screw it up now. If the rest of the series is as good as this episode, I will actually possibly recommend it to people.
Ooh, I don't know so far. I might recommend episodes, but I don't know if I'd be able to recommend this series yet. But we'll see how it ends. It will depend on if they can do a good finale and they can kind of, end on a good note, maybe, but...
I think if it ends well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little video that says, here's everything you need to know before starting your trek on episode 7 or 8.
Yeah, I would say 7. Definitely start on 7.
So, I'm going to guess that this is better than the first episode of Iron Fist.
It's the best episode to date of the series.
Out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
I'd probably give it 4.5.
I think I would maybe even go 4 3/4.
Ooh.
I really didn't have any problems with. I knew you thought.
Like I said, they were minor. It wasn't like I had a major list like I normally have, or one annoyance after another. There were just a couple of things, but overall, this was the best episode, and it was exciting to see. You finally getting the superhero we've been wanting to see. This is like, yes, the Iron Fist is finally here! Yay!
And guess what?
What?
Guess who is writing the next episode?
Is it Ian Stokes?
It's Ian Stokes, the best writer of the series so far. So, I'm really looking forward to it.
I am too. Can't wait to see episode 11.
Okay, so this is going to be Cubanwriter signing off.
Goodbye, darling.
Catch you next time.
But you'll look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due. I'm half crazy, all for the love